This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
Okay, what's up, Council Keepers? This is Steven, your host with Mythology Podcast, along with my lifelong friends, Ben and Josh, doing another Alex Verus review, this time talking about books 6 and 7, Veiled and Burned, series by Benedict Jaka. And this now puts us past the halfway point in the series because it's 12 books and we've read over half. And so what are kind of your guys' like high-level thoughts on the series at this point?
It ebbs and flows so much for me. I mean, like, It was the same thing, I think, between book 4 and 5. Like, I was pretty, like, I really enjoyed book 4. And then by book 5, I was like, oh, man, like, it kind of went through another slump. But then I think 6 got me out of it. Anyway, so was 6 veiled?
6 is veiled, 7 is burned.
Okay. Sorry. So I think 5 and 6 were a slump. And then I really like burned. So.
Yeah, I think our opinions are going to be pretty close on this one. We don't really have any like back and forth differing opinions. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see, but from conversations I have, I think we all kind of have the same opinion here.
Yeah, I think that they do stay like a consistent quality in a lot of senses, though. Like, I don't think there's been any huge misses, where it's just like, oh man, this went off the rails. Which, is still like impressive. And so I think that they're all like between like a 6 out of 10 and like an 8 out of 10. They're all kind of hovering in that area for me. See, I would probably put it more at like a 5 and 7, like, because to me, there hasn't been any amazing moments in really any of them, but I guess there hasn't also, like you said, been any like terrible misses either. So, but sometimes I'll be like just kind of waiting for things to happen, and so to me, that's kind of like, I don't know, like I'm enjoying the series because it's just like a fun, cozy read, but it's just, yeah, like there's moments where I'm just waiting for some stuff to happen, and that was a lot more true in Veiled than Burned this time.
Yeah. I feel like he really kind of plays it safe in books 5 and 6. And like you said, like not that much of importance actually happens, at least from our perspective halfway through the series. So it does seem like they're a little bit weaker. And then when he takes some big swings and does some things in books 4 and 7, I thought it really worked. So I would say I'm more like a 5 to 8.5. Like I really liked some books, and some other ones I was like, bit of a snooze.
Yeah, bit of a snooze. Yeah, that's a good way. And the thing is, it's like, why is he making snooze books? Like, he has all these characters that I think that's really why I have a hard time with them, because I'm like, you have all these characters and all these conflicts that are just like waiting to happen, and then you have a book like Veiled that really like just doesn't take advantage of that as much. It kind of like introduces this third like organization, like that nobody really like knows about or cares about. Like, you don't need to do that at this point in the series. You have all the like chess pieces in play.
Yeah, I feel like I could see what he was trying to do. It just, we don't really think it paid off, but he's introducing the Light Council more, which is obviously a big part of the plot, and making a pretty, I think, a pretty good side character in Caldera, kind of bringing her to the forefront and turning it into kind of like a police investigation type book. Like, it could have worked, but we just didn't really care for it. Like, the execution wasn't quite there.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, I think that like Caldera entering the picture in a bigger way is good. I think everything you said was true, but that they could have done it without introducing this new like pimping organization. You know what I mean? Like, it just it felt unnecessary to me. Like, they could have done that, it probably in the same way he's going to do it for the rest of the series, which is
could have just tied it in more directly to Richard and the Dark Mages rather than the White Rose thing.
That's kind of my thing too, is it's hard for me to know which conflicts are going to be carrying on throughout the series and which ones are going to be resolved by the ending of that book. which I think is always a hard thing in longer series, because you do need one-off plots to be able to kind of propel each book while
True.
building that, greater greater conflict. And so but that's the other complaint for me of the series, is that I really don't I haven't gotten really invested in council politics yet. And so that's made it hard for me to really care about when, oh, this light mage was really bad and teamed up with Levistus and we didn't know it. I'm just like, in my head, all the other mages are just bad. I think what book 7 did was it made things more concrete. It made things be like, okay, I can see out of these 7 council members, which ones are really going to be Team Alex in some sense, and which ones aren't. I think that's why that book really worked for me, because it wasn't like, oh, this person allied with that person because of this reason and that reason that I don't really care about, because they haven't been essential to the plot or to the characters really at all. And then this made it essential to the characters, so it worked for me.
Yeah, I think there's a few things there to talk more about, Josh. Let's pause here for an ad break before we continue on. Okay, so I think at this point we can just kind of say we're getting into a full review of the books. So, but actually, before we do that, I liked your comment about how do you make a long series where the individual books have good arcs that seem, impactful and important, but also continue the momentum towards the bigger thing. Like, I think Harry Potter is a good example where every book had its own arc. Like in the first one, we got to get the Sorcerer's Stone. Oh, and then at the end, it's Voldemort just like trying to come back. And then second one, we got to do the Chamber of Secrets. And then, it ties into Voldemort. And kind of third one, maybe not as much. Well, no, but Peter Pettigrew is escaping and once again bringing back Voldemort. So there's like the big plot within each book, but then at the end, there's like the looming thread of the bigger thing. And I think Harry Potter is a good example. I think Dresden does it pretty well, except for maybe the beginning of the series isn't as strong.
The thing is, though, here's the thing with Harry Potter. Like, there's a few reasons why I think it works a little bit better. First, because Harry is the one doing the progressing, and it's progressing Harry along. And that's kind of similar with Dresden. The problem I'm having a little bit with Alex is that he doesn't really have many huge character developments. Like, Alex himself has been a pretty stagnant character. I feel like he's created closer friendships and stuff with people, but like he hasn't developed any new abilities, or he hasn't changed his perspective on life at all. You know what I mean? And so
I thought book 4 had a really good chance to develop him more, and it helped us as a reader know him more. But like you said, he didn't really change a whole lot. Like, we just kind of really solidified who he was. But yeah, like you said, he's been the same character for a while now.
Yeah, for sure. We got some more backstory, right? But like, that's not the same thing as like character growth.
Yeah, he is a bit older, right? So maybe it makes sense that he's not changing as much.
Yeah, but I mean, even think about like the other like classic fantasy books that we all like really love. Like, Vin changes a lot throughout Mistborn, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't really want to like spoil other random series, but like, you get like these characters that like you love them the whole time, but like they're really changing.
Yeah.
So
they have more internal struggle, and with Alex, there's not the same internal conflict. Like, he is straddling the fence. He's got a pretty solid opinion on the light mages and dark mages, and he doesn't seem to be changing any of that through 7 books.
Right. So I think the one-off plots are fine if they're serving like some big like character growth moments, but like if the one-off plots are just that, and like, sure, they may be developing side characters, but like, we're here for Alex at this point.
Sure, it's a good point.
So the other reason why Veiled really was tough for me is because there was a lot of exposition with council politics that was just like out of nowhere. It was like suddenly we have like 7 different factions of the light mages, and I'm like, if these were always there, then they should have always been there, and if not, then you got to find a better way of just like info dumping, like somebody sitting down with Alex and being like, oh, what about this council like branch? You know what I mean? Like it was just, I'm like, I
Mhm.
felt like I was reading a treatise on like different political groups in Britain. You know what I mean?
And like Josh said, we didn't know what was important and what wasn't important in terms of characters and in terms of plot elements like that. Like, do I care if someone's the Order of the Star or, like
Order of the Shield,
uh,
or
yeah,
yeah,
or if they're sitting in the middle, or if they're on either side of the faction that wants to bring in the Dark Mage. Like, I guess the Dark Mage thing that seemed important, but the other parts, like,
yeah. The Dark Mage seat like was set up really well. I have no complaints
yeah,
with that part. But like, yeah, like the fact that it ended up being like, and continuing into Burned, like suddenly Alex has like, um, like these like death orders going out from like these very specific factions, like I thought that was set up because you knew that he had ticked
yeah,
off Levistus. Yeah,
that
sure.
was
But
fun.
like
We've known Levistus for a while. Like, he's been someone who's scary.
I was more meaning like I think it was the Order of the Shield or whatever, like where the gate mage at the start of Burned was the one that like actually burned down his house, right? Like, and she was like teleporting everybody in, and so I don't know, it made it more for me more about council politics in that specific part than
Mm.
Levistus kind of getting revenge.
Does seem like a lot of the council wizards are kind of interchangeable, just have different names and abilities. You could kind of swap them around.
It's because we haven't gotten a really good guy council wizard. It's not like, well, who's a sponsor?
I think
Landis.
Landis is cool, and he seems to be on Alex's side.
Yeah, Landis is cool and he does, but he doesn't seem like you're not really rooting for it. Oh, yay, Landis is coming in to save the day. It's like, oh,
I
Landis
don't
did
know, man. That
when
fight with Landis and Vahala,
yeah,
that
that was
was
pretty sweet.
pretty. That was pretty epic. I like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just don't think like I'm not sitting there thinking about like, oh, what cool thing is Landis gonna do? He did grow, he did get better, obviously, but I don't know. It's just I think that there needs to be a little bit more like, oh, like even just friendship between him and Alex. Kind of like if it was like Caldera, only Caldera was on the council, because
Yeah,
that group that grew a lot, and I really appreciated like his friendship with Caldera, and Caldera became somebody I was like, oh, what cool thing is Caldera gonna do?
yeah,
But
yeah. Caldera. How much of like Murphy did you see in Caldera?
how much of who? Murphy. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah. Well,
But
there's a few differences there, but
sure, but I liked the direction that it went at the end of Burned, where he really ticked her off, and like that. We'll see if that relationship is, reconcilable or
salvageable.
not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like it, but like, also, what else was he gonna do? Like, if he let her take him in, then he was, like, the motivations were pretty clear for him, and she was being
Yeah.
pretty like.
Well, I think that's a good setup of the plot. Like, you put these two characters with really that get along, but they also have really strong beliefs in one direction, and let them figure out what they're gonna do. And I thought that was really good character stuff.
Yeah, I like that, but I feel like there's a little bit more nuance with him and, oh, what's his time mage's friend's name?
Sonder.
Sonder. I feel like there's a lot more nuance in that instance, where Sonder just kind of like let him go, you know what I mean? Because he realized that like things were in his black and white. But the thing is that Alex had spent so much less time with Sonder, making that like, I would have expected the nuance to be there with Caldera and not with Sonder, if that makes sense, because Alex has gotten so close with Caldera and he's kind of been estranged from Sonder in the last.
I mean, did Sonder let him go? It seemed like Alex just kind of tricked him and ran away, and Sonder was a little clueless, because it was set up before where Alex and Sonder had this conversation, and Alex is like, "What are you going to do if it comes to this? Are you going to side with the council? Are you going to side with me?" And Sonder was like, "I don't know," and he still didn't make a choice. Alex made a choice. Sonder
I feel like
didn't really
he kind
do
of made a
anything.
choice to not pursue him or anything.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, he could have. I mean, the thing is, Caldera did make a choice to, and maybe Caldera didn't understand quite what was going on. That's also a possibility. But
well, I thought it was cool because Caldera has this like blind trust in the system, right? But Alex understands that it's not nearly as light as Caldera thinks it is, and for Caldera, it's like her whole life and everything. You know, she really has nothing else other than her job, so it totally makes sense that she would feel that way.
Yeah, the reason why I kept had a hard time with Burn though is because she kind of made the opposite choice at the end of Veiled, right? Where she had gotten the order to bring Alex in, and then he calls her and is like, I need backup, and then she kind of bucks the system a little bit and goes,
yeah, that's fair.
So it's almost like we had already seen her overcome that a little bit, and then suddenly she's back in a similar position and Burned and makes like the complete opposite decision. So that was a little weird to me, but I don't know. It's also believable, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that people would oscillate with stuff like that, because with Burned, it's seemingly a much more calm situation. It's not like in the heat of battle or anything, right? Like it's just she's got the order to bring him in, you know, and he's not in immediate peril or anything.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. Like the way that they went to arrest Alex, we're just kind of jumping around from plot point to plot point, but the way that they went to arrest Alex just seems super sus and under the table. And you think that she might be like, yeah, this might not be right, but she doesn't.
Yeah. And again, I mean, but maybe that's just how, you know, it's done with the White Council and Keepers. Like, you can't get the idea that it's like a spy movie, right? Where he's like just like watching his apprentice do their thing, and then like suddenly like he sees all the black suits kind of like coming in on him. You know what I mean? So it was pretty cinematic. I enjoyed it, you know. I also enjoyed that he like actually beat her in a fair fight. I guess he cheated like he normally does or whatever, but like the fight was pretty cool, and the fact that you're like, oh, like let's see these two people that we've kind of grown to know their skill sets, you know.
No, I agree. It's totally cinematic when he's jumping off the building and runs over and fights her under the tunnel, and the bus comes around. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, I love his like weightless spell or whatever. He kind of floats down, and then like Caldera just like cracks the concrete as she jumps off the building or whatever. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We just because we are jumping around. The other reason I think that Veiled, Veiled, right? Veiled. The other reason why I think Veiled works so well is because it gave
or you mean Burned works?
Sorry, Burned. Yeah. The other reason why Burned works so well, I knew I was getting that wrong, is because Burned gives all of his friends something to do, like literally all of them. You know,
totally.
Even if it's just small things, like Luna preparing for her journeyman test was great. And like what was Anne working to do? And
she didn't have quite as much. She was kind of along for the ride a little bit.
Just because Veiled was like a pretty heavy book. Yeah. Anne's had a few books. But she was in the book a lot with Alex too. I mean, especially at the end. And then like, you know, all of them were trying to save their own skin, and it was outlined at the very beginning of the book. Like, okay, this is what we need to do to get you guys to safety. And so, I think that was an important thing for making it work, because really I am invested in all of his friends, because they are the ones that are kind of, like Ben said, they have the dynamic parts to them, whereas Alex really doesn't. Yeah. And that's why I think that's what I was kind of trying to get at with Veiled, is that like we don't need more chess pieces. You know what I mean? We have enough to keep track of already that can all do like really cool things. Like,
well, I think we could add them for sure, but the problem with Veiled is we don't have Anne and Barium and Luna really doing anything that cool, and we like these characters and we're invested in them for books and books. And so to have a book where they're just kind of like on the sidelines and Alex is going on an adventure with a new team is a little lame. We want to see the ones that we care about every book.
Yeah. I think after this book, if they just take the council and you clearly have out, I mean, well, moving forward, it looks like Richard's going to be a much bigger part of it too, because of how Burned ended. So I still think that there's a lot of room to set up this bigger conflict, but there needs to be some strategy in how these chess pieces are used, like we've been talking about. Which, again, I think that we're heading, like, hopefully, fingers crossed, right? Like that everything we've talked about looks like it's about to be solved. We have Alex about to hit major character growth because, or at least character changes, because of he's now having to work under Richard again, right? All of his, like, his home is gone. He's being isolated from his friends. Luckily, he still has Anne, but like, so there's huge potential for like this series to really like fix a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. And not again, not that I've really not enjoyed any of these books, but like it's gotten stale for me at this point. So I'm like totally fingers crossed that that Bound picks up where Burn left off and really, like, you know, finishes what Burn started.
Yeah, Burned is basically like the changes from Harry Dresden. Like his
Let's not spoil changes though. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just in general, like there's big things. And in Burned, Alex has lost all this stuff. His home is gone, his miscloak is gone, his you know, now he's a big deal. He used to be kind of this guy on the sidelines, but now everyone knows about him and he's important, and he's kind of, that's what he's used to. He's used to being this kind of anonymous figure, and that's going to change. And I think Ben, like, if he doesn't have character growth, then it's a big miss, because this is a big opportunity for him to change.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole bubble realm mission? To me, that was like a highlight, which is weird because it didn't work for me when I think in book 5 when they went to,
when it was the Shadow Realm thing.
Yeah, Shadow Realm, because it was just like so long.
Is it called it's like something, it might not be Shadow Realm, but something like that.
Yeah, but like, whereas this one was like a specific like mission in the bubble realm. I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed, like, it's like you gotta kind of like learn how the physics of like worked in the bubble realm, where like the light mages couldn't really be much help, right? Because like it was soaking up the light and stuff. Like, it was very vivid for me. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I thought it was also cool. I thought it was a little bit of a MacGuffin thing again, where they were like getting the thing and we don't even know what the thing is. So hopefully that's important in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
It might be a magic lamp, but we don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual adventure there was cool. And I posted this in the chat. I had like big Harry Potter Death Eater type vibes, especially. I really liked the Landis Bahela fight. I thought that was really epic and like really almost like Bellatrix Lestrange versus who did she duel in Order of the Phoenix?
Molly. Well, in Order of the Phoenix.
Well, I was thinking more Order of the Phoenix, because that was like the kind of well, yeah, and other Order members, I guess, but yeah,
I agree. That was pretty awesome, and that was one of the times when I was like, oh dang, like magic in this world is pretty cool, like with them casting, you know, and because we see the effects of magic a lot, but we don't really see a lot of like magic actually being used, if that makes sense. And so this one was fun to see it actually being used. We've seen it a few times during the climaxes, like where like the one Ice Mage, I think, in the second book and stuff. I mean, there's definitely been times, but like it's like they cast a specific spell or do something big to like move the situation along, versus this was just like spell after spell and that spell's blocked, and then they throw another one, and then it actually goes on and feels like a choreographed thing instead of just like a big spell, let's move on.
Yeah,
I could see that. I think that it's also interesting because the reason we probably don't see that is because Alex would just get his head blown off pretty quickly in that fight. He's more just dodging spells, trying to get out of there when spells start being slung.
Yeah. Right. I've enjoyed the few instances where Luna's dueling. I think those fights have been kind of fun too. And I thought the setup with her doing her journeyman test and everything, and like we talked about this earlier, but Alex had to leave in the middle. But that whole thing was pretty cool. I wish we could have seen the end, but I guess somehow she was able to overcome her series long weakness. And
Yeah, that was a little odd, wasn't it?
I mean, they talked about how she's getting better at it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really wish that we had like a perspective. Like it's interesting because part of what gives these books their charm is that we just see the Alex perspective the whole way through. You know what I mean? We're just like so focused on him, and it makes it really fast paced. And but like sometimes you do wish that you're like, okay, like let's give Luna a chapter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, talk about character growth. She's the one character who's had the most growth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, Anne has had a lot of growth, I think. And all these side characters. Yeah. I guess Varys kind of stayed the same. Anne has changed a lot. Yeah, Saunders changed a lot too. We just haven't really seen a lot of it happen. But
I feel like for some reason, at least for me, Luna is just the one character that's the easiest to root for.
Yeah, because she's so sympathetic. Like Anne is really cool as well, but you like never really know if she is actually like she always has the kind of like, oh, she might turn out to be evil vibe. Not anymore, but for the first few books, at least to me, she was like, if there's one that was going to betray Alex, it probably would have been Anne, But then, obviously, this book that changed. Is this Endgame in terms of relationship? Do you think it's Anne?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was expecting something more significant to happen during this time. They're on the run. They've got some chemistry. If this ever were turned into a movie or TV show, for sure they're getting together at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of silly for them not to, especially because they were like, it was like weeks, right, that they were on the run for.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It was like before. It was like Christmas Day is when everything went down, right? Or Boxing Day, and then like all the way until the ending of January. So
I don't know. It seems a little strange to me that it didn't happen.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe Alex just knew that he didn't want to get closer to her because
True.
There's going to be stuff going on. But
I mean, he didn't necessarily know that he was planning on sacrificing himself the whole time, but that would make sense that he didn't want to hurt her further.
Yeah. But I don't know. And I mean, maybe Anne just doesn't want anything to happen too. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I think she does.
But we had that whole conversation where she was like, I need somebody that's powerful but also can protect me, but doesn't feel like literally Alex is the only one that fits this description. There's nobody else in the world that could possibly fit that description for her. Yeah.
They had that conversation was, I thought, some good character stuff, some good bonding, and Alex is pretty stupid if he doesn't realize it, but maybe he does and doesn't want to hurt her more. I guess that's the only explanation for me.
Well, I don't know. I feel like actual people can be pretty stupid with that stuff too. I remember reading like this funny Reddit thread that was like, it was somebody at the high school reunion, like that like this girl's like, oh man, I always like hope that you would make a move in high school. And the guy was like, I'm never gonna make that mistake again. And then everybody in the comments was like, well, did you ask her out then? And he's like, wait, what? So I feel like there's definitely precedence for this in real life that be a little clueless, but I don't know. We don't get that vibe with Alex. So
well, I guess it's fair. Like, Alex doesn't have a very good romantic track record, so
well, he doesn't have. I mean, literally the only thing we've seen in the whole series is that one seductress lady.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, not to like keep comparing him to Dresden, because I think it can definitely be pretty cringe in Dresden. But like at least there's some like tension in most books, of like, oh, who's Alex gonna be flirting with this book, or who's Dresden gonna be flirting with this book, even if nothing happens, for those for those first couple books. But
yeah, it could definitely use more romance. Hopefully it's going in that direction.
I mean, even if it's not like serious romance, it's just like some like wish fulfillment fantasy of like some flirting and stuff,
Yeah. Well, okay, so at this point, what else do we need to cover? I mean, we didn't talk a ton about Veiled, but I think we got our main opinions out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the main opinion about Veiled was that there's just too much stuff going on that I didn't care at all about. So
I read his Benedict Jacka's, he does like blog posts about each book, and you have to be a little careful because if you read too far, there are spoilers for the series, but you kind of skim and you get it. Anyway, at the beginning of the blog post, he said basically he feels like Veiled was a little bit of a misfire, and honestly, it's not that important to the rest of the series. Like, you could skip it and get a summary in a paragraph and be good. So yeah, I mean, you could see what he's trying to do. Didn't really work out, and I think after he's writing all these posts after writing the whole series, so clearly he's grown as an author.
yeah, I like authors that are able to be self-reflective like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I think there's what video is that where Sanderson, I think Sanderson and Murphy were going through and like rating his books, and Brandon was like, yeah, this one wasn't very good. We're putting this in D tier.
Yeah. You guys, I think that was the difficulty to write the book though. So this is kind of random, but that same coworker I've talked about where I got her to read or I suggested
oh yeah, let's keep this thread
going.
Yeah.
So I haven't I haven't heard from her about First Law, but in that same conversation, she's like, yeah, my favorite Sanderson book is Elantris. I was like, really? What? And she's like, yeah, I really, really liked it. I'm like,
okay,
that's interesting. I'm like, it's not a bad thing. I'm just like, never really heard that before, you know, like I personally liked Elantris too, but yeah.
Has she read all of his books?
I don't think all of them, but I think she's read a lot of like enough of them to have like not that be her favorite book. You know what I mean?
Okay, interesting.
Like she's read most of Stormlight, I think, and she's read a lot of them. So
yeah,
her brother for her birthday got her the Kickstarter pack, so it's like important enough that like her brother knew that that's a gift that she would want. So
okay, unique opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I will say I got a friend of mine to compete with, Josh's coworker. She's read all of Mistborn, and she's starting to read I think she's almost done with Emperor's Soul, which is good. But also I think Capture in Words just came out with a definitive list of how to read the Cosmere. So I sent that to her last night. He came out with that a couple days ago. So you should look that up if you're interested. Anyway, back to Alex.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, what are we excited for? I'm excited to see the Dark Mage conflict, because I feel like it's kind of been flirted with a little bit, and yeah, Morden's on the council. Okay, like that's a problem. We haven't really seen it be a problem until now. Richard is still this looming threat because of reasons. Like now we're finally getting there, I think, and we need to.
Personally, I'm hoping that we get a little bit of more grainness from Richard. Like he's obviously just made out to be a really, really, really bad person, but I'm kind of hoping that we get a little bit of like, this is the reason why he's doing what he's doing, and maybe sympathize with him a little bit, even if we don't like. Yeah, I don't think he's going to become a good guy at all, but like
he's got to save the world because of whatever is happening, and so in order to do that, he's going to be evil.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm also like, it was very hard not for me to not want to start reading Bound immediately. So, yeah, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But now
so you're excited overall, 100%.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm excited. Burned did get me hyped for the series again. It made me like, oh dang, I want to finish the series off, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a good testament that if you want to have a series, like if you want to keep the momentum going in your books, you have to take some big swings. You can't just have the same people do something that we've seen before. Even though we like these characters, you can't just sit with them forever. Something's got to happen. Yeah,
exactly. And maybe that's just the style of books that we've kind of been into.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Like there are slice of life books that we enjoy where nothing that big happens, or like Name of the Wind, which I love. Not that much big really happens, but I think those are almost exceptions to the rules because they're just so masterful, especially Name of the Wind.
And there's longer, like the spy, kind of like action thriller series that have like 30, 40 books in them. And like, it's just more of like solving the mystery of the week type thing.
Yeah. Do we like personally?
I haven't really gotten into
those books though.
People do.
I don't know.
Yeah, people like them. That's what I'm saying is like, there's definitely just like a type of book that I think we all kind of are drawn towards.
Would I like them?
I don't know. Maybe you should read a Tom Clancy.
I guess
book.
I'm too snooty to say if I would like them or not. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's our review of Veiled and Burned. So let us know.
Yeah, we get 2 more reviews for this series, right? And then we're done.
No, we'll do 8 and 9, 10 and 11, and then maybe we could do like 1 for 12 since it's the conclusion.
I like that. Maybe we can do like a conclusion for 12 and like a tier of all the books or something.
Yeah. Gotta have a tier list. Everyone loves tier lists. Cool. If you want to chat with us, you can do that on Discord. Links to join are in the episode description. Let us know what details we're getting wrong. Let us know what 30 book spy thrillers we need to read, because I need to get off my high horse and books don't always need to change. I don't know. Let us know whatever your feedback is. But as always, thanks, Ben and Josh. Okay, see everyone later. Bye.
All right,
See you soon.